Yippee-ki-yay movie lovers, it's Jan here. According to X-Men Apocalypse writer Simon Kinberg, the first cut of the movie was around 2 hours 40 minutes long, which means there's a whole bunch of scenes and concepts that didn't make the final cut, including an extended mall sequence, and all of that's what I'm going to be looking at in this video. Of course, there will be spoilers ahead, so if you want to avoid those, click here for my spoiler-free review or come back after you've seen the movie. And as promised, I'm going to be giving away another pack of cool X-Men Apocalypse merch on this video. To enter the giveaway, you just need to subscribe and leave a comment about the deleted scenes or what you'd like to see in an extended cut of the movie. First up is an extended scene at the shopping mall, which Simon Kinberg has described as an 80s montage set to music and with some interesting Easter eggs. The movie's production team located an unused period mall in Montreal and got permission to renovate it, fitting it out with retail outlets and brands you'd expect to see in a typical 80s American mall. A video arcade in the mall was refurbished with vintage machines and rebranded as Spaceport, which was the name of the video arcade where director Bryan Singer played as a kid. The mall scene culminates in Cyclops, Jean Grey, Jubilee and Nightcrawler coming out of a movie theatre after watching Return of the Jedi. That final part is included in the theatrical release, but the rest was cut as, according to the filmmakers, it slowed down the movie too much. Sophie Turner teased another part of the mall sequence when she posted a picture of herself as Jean Grey shopping at the mall with Cyclops. It's a very cool Easter egg to the comic book mutant Dazzler, who first appeared in the X-Men comics in 1980, and who has the power to transform sound waves into light beams and energy. The album Dazzler, Sounds of Light and Fury that Scott Summers is holding actually appears on the cover of issue 29 of the comic book Dazzler. And there's another amusing moment in the record store when Scott picks up an album featuring Boy George and asks Jean, "Has anyone ever told you look like this?" Although Jubilee's role was cut down in the final film, they did shoot an important scene at the shopping mall where she got to use her powers. In the comics, Jubilee has the power to produce explosive balls of energy plasma or fireworks. By the way, the shopping mall itself is an Easter egg to how Jubilee discovered her powers in the comics after running away from a mall security guard. And it's also where she met other X-Men members including Storm, Rogue, Psylocke and Dazzler. It's actually rumoured that the deleted scene is similar to the comics, with Jubilee using her powers and then having to escape from the mall's security using her gymnastic abilities. Nightcrawler also had some funny scenes at the mall, including a moment where he started breakdancing with a group of kids. And in another funny scene, the 4 mutants are drinking cold drinks when Nightcrawler becomes scared as he got an ice cream headache. But when Scott tells him not to worry, it's just a brain freeze, Nightcrawler gets even more frightened as he thinks his brain is about to freeze over. Also hidden in the mall sequence is an homage to the 1980s movie Moscow on the Hudson, starring Robin Williams. As the young mutants walk around, Nightcrawler, who is new to America, is amazed that ordinary people don't fear them as mutants. Nightcrawler thinks the mall is a paradise, and it parallels how Robin Williams' Russian character feels when he arrives in America in the movie Moscow on the Hudson. In the film, Williams plays a Soviet musician in the circus who defects during a visit to Bloomingdale's in New York, which is doubly interesting as Nightcrawler also performed in the circus before he met the X-Men. Prior to Scott's mall trip, he was at the X-Mansion with his brother Alex, aka Havoc. And just before Alex left with Charles to visit Moira at the CIA, the on-screen brothers filmed a farewell scene. This would have been the last moment that Cyclops shared with his brother Havoc, as it was while Cyclops was returning from the mall that Havoc died during the X-Mansion explosion. Bryan Singer has mentioned that Michael Fassbender filmed a beautiful scene outdoors which brought tears to the filmmaker's eyes. From what Singer has said, it sounds like the scene was of Magneto with his Polish family. According to Singer, although the scene was incredible, it just didn't fit in the overall story. In the movie, Apocalypse has 4 horsemen: Storm, Angel, Psylocke and Magneto. But in an earlier version of the script, Apocalypse only had Storm, Angel and Magneto as his 3 horsemen, and there were no plans at all to include Psylocke in the movie. The initial script had Charles being kidnapped by Apocalypse with the intention of counting him as the 4th horseman. But Kinberg and Singer realised that this wouldn't really work, so they looked through the comic book history of the various horsemen and thought that Psylocke was the most intriguing. The filmmakers had actually just met with Olivia Munn to talk about a part in Deadpool, and it was when they came across some fan art of her as Psylocke that they thought she'd be perfect for the role. Olivia Munn's role in the movie changed again even after she was cast. Initially, it was announced that she'd be playing Betsy Braddock, who in her comic book origin story grows up in the UK. Olivia Munn is a huge fan of Psylocke and the character's comic book history. However, the filmmakers decided that the movie would not explore Betsy's life before she became Psylocke, for example her time as a pilot or a model, and she wouldn't have a British accent either. Wolverine's cameo could have turned out quite differently, and there were many versions that were considered, including not having him in the film at all. Another option the filmmakers looked at was having Wolverine appear in the middle of the movie, at which point he would have taken on a team leader role to the young X-Men. However, this route was rejected as it interfered with Raven's story arc, and other variations didn't seem to work either. The final cameo, during which we see Wolverine go full-on berserker mode at the Alkali Lake Weapon X facility, turned out well, even if the filmmakers haven't yet addressed the plot hole of how he ended up there after Mystique, disguised as Stryker, pulled him out of the river at the end of Days of Future Past. So guys, what do you think about the deleted scenes, and would you like to have seen any of them in the final cut of the movie? As always, I'd love to hear what you've got to say in the comments below. Don't forget to comment and subscribe for your chance to win this awesome X-Men Apocalypse merchandise, and you can click on the Gleam link in the video description below for bonus ways to enter the giveaway. If you enjoyed this video, check out my full Easter egg guide to X-Men Apocalypse and also my full post-credits breakdown of what the Mr. Sinister tease means for Wolverine 3 and other X-Men movies. Click any of these links here to check those out. Thanks for watching and see you next time, yippee-ki-yay movie lovers!